Hello? Hello, is anyone there? If not, that's okay. I'm just here to record a little thing, see how it goes, learn from my mistakes, etc., so on and so forth. For anyone who is here watching this or watching it later on, my name is Kai2. You can call me K2 or Kai or K or piece of scrap, whatever you want to call me. I'm just here to, do a little debut thing, record it for future generations. So, yeah, let's just get right into it, because I'm honestly flying by the seat of my pants here. So, sometimes that's all you can do. Mistakes are the best way to learn. So let's just get right into this nice little PowerPoint I've prepared. So first question is, I'm gonna move myself over here. Question is, what am I? Well, as you can see by this lovely art that I made, lovely in quotation marks because I'm not an artist, I am a robot made out of scrap. Just assembled out of whatever I could throw together at the time, create a nice little asymmetrical design, because asymmetrical designs stick out. That's the trade secret I've heard. So yeah, let's just take a look here. So I got some old radio antenna here to give me little blinkers, and as you can see, when I blink, they twitch. It's kind of cute. Got my little headphones here, my little audio receptors, and if you look, if I turn my head to the side here, they say K2 on each side, because that's me. Got a cool guy visor, little bit of a piece of glass, make myself look like I'm wearing sexy aviators, because robots with visors are pretty cool, in my opinion anyway. Got this little thing on my shoulder here. Don't really know what it is. Just thought it looked cool, so decided to slap it on there myself. And as you can see, my left side is a little bare compared to the right side. Couldn't quite get the right amount of armor plating to balance things out a bit, so, figured why not just slap a little camera there just to make it look a little less naked. Then I got my little heart here, this little Dewey right here. That's where the human bits are that I need, like my little heart ticker, just beating away in there in some kind of sci-fi goo, like back to Star Wars or whatever they use in other sci-fi. The magic life-sustaining goo that we don't have in reality. Got my little name tag here too. It says K2. Say how you know who I am if you can't see the sides of my head. As you can see, I'm kind of nice and scratched up here too. It's what happens when you just kind of throw together whatever you can. You don't really have time to polish the metal or anything like that, so you just make do with what you got, and if it works, it works, Also, my arm, oh my god, why is my arm cut off like that? That's not good. My god. Anyway, we'll worry about that later. As you can see here too, I got my little spine Medu. Got a little bit of wires hanging down there. Just gonna dance around the screen here just so I'm out of the way, but I'm always in the way. Got my little wires hanging down here. I'm sure they don't connect to anything important. Don't worry about it. Got my my asymmetrical arms again, just like with my little chesticle. I didn't have enough time or room to slap anything on the left forearm there, so it's left a little bit bare, a little bit of exposed wire, but don't worry about it. The fingers still work okay. And I've got my little legs. You know, I got a stick for one leg. I think it's just I think it was a piece of bathroom piping. You know, had some cracks in it, but you know, just slap a little bit of duct tape on that and it's fine. Don't really know what my right foot is. It's looks kind of like a coat hanger, but either way, I can still walk on it, so it's all good. You know, and got my left leg here. Couldn't find one that color matched, but I at least found something sturdy, so, you know, and plus I like the color purple. It's fine. It's all fine. But yeah, as for what I am, as I said, I'm a scrap VTuber made out of affordable materials. You know, try to keep things under budget, because never know how things are going to turn out, so, you know, mostly just doing this for fun, maybe try and make some friends along the way, so didn't want to go full ham, but who knows, maybe if I make some friends along the way and get my feet planted here, I can upgrade to a better shell. You never know. As for my age, I'm old. I am pretty much what the internet would consider a boomer, I think. Because I'm pretty sure anybody who was alive before 2000 is considered a boomer by internet standards. But that's okay. I'm fine being an old soul. Even my old grandmother used to tell me that I was old even when I was at the ripe old age of 6, so it's fine. I'm used to it. I like to consider myself aged and wise, you know? Languages, I'm obviously an English speaker. I used to know French at one point back in school, but once the French courses stopped being mandatory, they kind of just slipped out of my brain so I can make room for other stuff, so that's a little unfortunate. But I am trying to learn Japanese, just because a lot of my hobbies and interests delve into Japan, as is the case with a lot of VTubers, so, you know, I've been practicing the Duolingo for about 3 years now, and trying to pick up little bits from what I can. Man, oh man, though, that owl sure likes to pester you with keeping your streak up. I think I saw the other day somebody posted they lost their streak, and it showed like a skeleton of Duo, and it's a bit dark for what's supposed to be like a family-friendly website. Like, they really guilt you into keeping up with it. Anyway. Some quick likes and dislikes. Obviously, the reason I'm a robot is because I love robots, especially Transformers. I've been a Transformers fan for about 20 years now. All forms of Transformers I like. Even the Michael Bay movies, even though they're, you know, I still have fun with them. Still have fun with the 5 Michael Bay ones, even though it's hard to sit through them in one sitting, except for maybe the first one. Bumblebee's great, though. Bumblebee was everything I wanted since they started coming out in 2007, and Rise of the Beast was great, too. I'm really happy with it, even though it had some flaws. But, yeah, I love robots. I love collecting robots. Most of my disposable income goes towards Transformers figures or other robot figures that look neat. I've had a love for robots ever since I saw Star Wars for the first time and saw R2-D2 and said, man, I sure love that little guy. And then he got shot in the back of the X-Wing during the trench run, and my heart was shattered, but he got better. He got better. I like cats. I'm definitely a cat guy. Nothing against dogs. Dogs are fine, but a little bit too high energy for me. Cat's basically just a big, cuddly teddy bear that you gotta clean up after, and can be a bit noisy through the night, and gotta feed and hope and pray that they return the affection that they give to you. Yep. 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 Normally my cat is in the room with me when I'm on my streaming computer, but I guess she decided not to return that affection to me today. She's normally just chilling in the background, sleeping, which is nice. I'll take that little bit of affection that at least she wants to be in the same room with me. I like cold weather. I do live in Canada, so cold weather is pretty normal for us, but I'm okay with it. Kind of runs in my bloodline, apparently, that we like cold weather. A little bit of humidity, as you can see in my dislikes, and we're about as cranky as can be. It's not fun. I don't like being sweaty. I don't like being warm. Because if you're cold, you can always put an extra layer on. If you're warm, you can only take so many layers off before you get to your skin, and you can't rip your skin off. So luckily I got this nice scrap body now, so it conducts the cold really nice, but it also conducts the heat, which isn't great. Hopefully if I can upgrade later on, I can get a nice liquid cooling system into my bod. That'd be great. Have I mentioned that I like robots? I think robots are really great. Especially robots that actually look like robots. But never been much a fan of, like, I guess androids where it's a robot but it's wearing like a human skin. Like, it's like you're taking the robot and you're covering up the best part, like the metal face, the potential lack of a mouth. You know, robots with mouth plates, like that's where it's at, man. Love those. Especially like robots like mono eye robots. That's so cool. Like anything that looks less human, says the somewhat human looking robot. But you know, a mouth is a good way for a VTuber to look at, to interact. So, you know, I took the L and kept the mouth, you know, but I got my cool visor, so that's something. That's something. Collecting things I mentioned. I do like to make poor financial decisions in collecting things. I like to collect my Transformers. I like to collect Lego minifigures too. I have quite a collection of clone troopers, both existing and knockoff ones, because sometimes you can only get certain legions by going down the deep, dark, third-party hole. And I like to collect cards. Obviously, as you can see by the next bullet point, I'm a big Pokemon fan. So I've always collected Pokemon cards ever since I was a wee lad. And still collect the odd ones from today, you know? Kind of like gambling for our generation, you know? Never got big into slot machines, but man, I'll spend a bunch on plastic packs to get a card that's worth less than the total I spent in, but man, the rush you get into that. Man. At least I'm not a gacha addict. You know, that's a plus. I do play gacha, but I have some self-control there at least. But yeah, big Pokemon fan. Been a fan ever since the original games came out. I remember when Pokemon Blue came out, I begged my pops for one, and one night he asked me to get his water out of the fridge, and I opened it up, and there was a Game Boy Color and Pokemon Blue in there, and I was the happiest little boy alive at the time. And I've played it consistently ever since. You know, it's probably the one video game that stuck with me for pretty much all my life, I guess. I guess I did stop playing it for a little bit in middle school, because it was around middle school that it was like, yeah, you like Pokemon? And I was like, oh, I don't want to be bullied, so I don't play Pokemon anymore. Pokemon is stupid. I like manly things, Anyway, you get the point. And then we get to high school and nobody cares anymore, so I got back into Pokemon. It was great. I like building Gunpla, too. I like to keep my hands busy. I was always a connoisseur of Lego when I was young, and still a little bit now when I'm older, but I graduated up to model building too, which is also apparently in my blood because my old man likes to put together model cars, so I put together model robots. Have a few that I've painted up and made look nice, and it was a solid hobby for a while. Don't do it as much as I used to, mainly because when I got into it, there was a huge backlog of kits that I had never put together or that had amassed over the years, so once I got all of those, it was mostly like just new stuff that was coming out, and you know, not everything is appealing to me as it used to, so that new St. Andrew Stein though looks really nice, and especially where it's got some improved parts over the Verkov. Like, I love that design, and it's got the sleeves on it, which looks really nice. And anyway, but yeah, I like robots. All kinds of robots. Like astromechs from Star Wars, or like all droids from Star Wars, really. Mechs like Gundams, like they're also great. Not as great as like actual robots, because I've always liked like the story behind like robots discovering like their humanity or stuff like that, or when you have like a robot character who's just like, oh, I'm just a robot, and then you have the human character who's like, oh, not to me, and it's like, oh wow, you've learned to care about a robot even though, you know, they're not alive, quote unquote, but maybe they're more alive than you think they are, and all that good stuff, you know. Maybe it helps. I put myself onto robots, put a little bit of my personality and relate to them more than a human character. That's weird to say. But the last thing I like to do is make people laugh. You know, if I've always had a dry sense of humor that I had to develop during my middle school years to survive and keep bullies away, so I've always discovered, I think later in high school, that the feeling of making somebody laugh or making somebody smile it's really like the best feeling in the world to me. You know, even if it's just like a cheap laugh, or if you can compliment someone and make them smile, then it just makes you feel like you've done something worthwhile, even if it's not like life-changing for them. It's just a small thing that really makes you feel warm inside. And I think that's why I'm here today, is, you know, even if nobody sees this or watches this, if I can just make one person laugh or make one person smile, then, you know, I'll have done something that matters, I think. Anyway, things I don't like. Humidity is obviously the big thing. I mentioned that before. Don't like being sweaty. Don't like being warm. Prefer to be nice and cool. Though it is weird how when you're cool, there's no when it's cold out, there's no better feeling than putting on a warm sweater and getting warm that way. But maybe it's because it's my choice, you know. Tomatoes. Hate tomatoes. Probably my least favorite food ever. Don't like the texture. Taste is okay, but texture, no. Also, during my first job, I had to cut a lot of tomatoes, and the juice would get into my dry, chapped hands and it would burn like acid. That's the disadvantage of having flesh hands, I guess, but now I've got robot hands, and they can still feel things, but, you know, they don't get dried out or chapped, and it's great. It's great. Don't have to moisturize as much. Just gotta keep them polished, keep them clean, and keep all the grit and stuff out of the joints, and it's great. Do like things that tomatoes make, though, like ketchup, like tomato sauce. But the tomato sauce has to be, like, pure liquefied. Hate when you're eating the spaghetti and you get, like, a chunk of tomato in the tomato sauce. Toxicity. You know, it's, just no. I don't like when people are just bullies. you know, and I think it's like, just why go out of your way to just bully someone or make them miserable? I just don't get it. It's like, who has the energy for that, right? Water slide decals. I hate applying water slide decals. It's the biggest pain in the butt when I was building Gunpla regularly, because they look great when they're on there, but man, trying to get them off the sheet without them ripping, especially big ones, oh, it would drive me nuts. And then if you didn't if they weren't wet enough, or you didn't apply the coat properly, then they would lift and chip off, and then you'd apply the Mr. Mark softer to it, and then the Mr. Mark softer would dissolve it, and if you put too much on and you tried to move it around, then it would dissolve the decal and it would warp, and then you're just like, oh my god, I spent $70 on this Gunpla kit that came with these water slide decals and now it's ruined. But anyway. And I hate anxiety. I've had anxiety since before I even knew what it was. I've got anxiety right now, even though I take medication for it, which is not great, but, you know, it's just one of those things that you have to deal with. It's one of those things that I think a lot of the people in the VTuber community deal with. That's why I feel like a bit of oneness with them, you know? We're all introverts, not all of us, but a lot of us are introverts, and a lot of us deal with anxiety day to day. And, you know, we don't have a choice to not be anxious. We can deal with it in certain ways, but even when we deal with it, it never really goes away. It's just kind of hardwired into our systems. But, you know, if we can all be anxious together, then that's something. At least we can relate to one another. Some other stuff I think are pretty neat. Some of my favorite games. I'm a big Halo fan. Gonna be playing Halo after this. Halo Reach. I even like Halo 4 and 5. I know that they're not as well received, but I thought the story in 4 was pretty good, and I thought the gameplay in 5 was pretty good. I loved, what was it called? It was the multiplayer thing where you played against enemies and the AI at the same time. Warzone. I played a lot of Warzone. That was great. And I also liked all the little variants to the guns and stuff like that. That was really cool. Story could have been better, but, you know, at least it's at the Arbiter. Love me some Keith David. Half-Life 2. Probably one of my favorite single games ever. Never played Half-Life 1, but I do want to play Black Mesa on stream just to get the full picture, but I think Half-Life 2 is just such a unique solo experience, or at least it was for the time it came out. And, you know, it's more than just a shooter. You got those little physics puzzles, you got the driving sections, and yeah, it's just a great overall, I think, package for what you get, you know? And I think it's a true classic. Portal 1 and 2, obviously, stemming off from Half-Life. Great games, great sense of humor, most importantly. Destiny, I am a recovering Destiny addict. I haven't played in quite a while, but I have played since the launch of Destiny 1, which was almost 10 years ago. 10 years. Been through the highs and lows of Destiny, the LFGs, the toxic raid groups, the Fellwinter's Lie. But overall, I liked Destiny for what it is. I liked the story, and I liked the characters. You know, don't play it as often as I used to, but I do want to try and pick up the final shape just to finish that end of the story, and then maybe bookend it there, you know? Transformers War for Cybertron, possibly one of the best Transformers games ever made. I do love the Transformers Armada game that came out in the early 2000s, but, you know, it was a bit clunky for what it was. War for Cybertron, though, man, when that came out and people even outside of the Transformers fandom were playing that and loving it, that we were really high on life. And then High Moon went bankrupt, and that was that. We did get Fall of Cybertron, which I never got to play because I was a little pinched for cash at the time, but, you know, if they ever get the rights to put it back up on the Steam store or anything else, I'd love to replay War for Cybertron and then maybe play Fall of Cybertron. And Transformers Devastation 2, I never got a chance to play that, but I love the look of it. But that's also appears to be in limbo with War 4 and Fall of Cybertron. And every mainline Pokemon game. As I said, I played Pokemon since the 90s, so kept up with every mainline game since then, except for that little stint in middle school that I mentioned. But I went back and I played Platinum just so I got the Gen 4 fill-in, and then they released Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, which weren't as great, but, you know, they were what they were. Still had fun with them. Sun and Moon are probably my favorite single experiences. Scarlet and Violet's coming up pretty close, though. Like, I thought they went really well with that story and all the little quality of life improvements, but Sun and Moon, I think I really liked the characters in it. I liked the story. I didn't know where it was going, and it was nice to have like all the little twists and turns, and got surprisingly dark in some parts, which I wasn't expecting. And, you know, some people didn't like it because it was different, where it didn't have gyms, but I thought it was neat to see like how a different culture views Pokemon in the Pokemon world. And I just really liked the whole look and feel of Alola, and like that feeling of community that you get. How like all the trial captains knew each other, and they all worked together as part of this community, and how like Professor Kukui was trying to install a Pokemon League to like make it well known. I don't know, it just felt like some really nice world building. Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, I play that quite frequently on my Switch. I did used to play physical Yu-Gi-Oh! Back when Yu-Gi-Oh! Was first getting popular, so when I got into Master Duel, holy crap, that was quite the shift. We didn't have any of those Link monsters or Exceed monsters or Synchro summons or any of that stuff, so that was a whole new learning curve. But I like to play, I think my main deck is Earth Machines, obviously, because, you know, I might have mentioned that I love robots, so I try to make a lot of different robot decks or similar adjacent robot decks. So Earth Machines is my main one. I've been really enjoying the new Gate Guardian deck too, because I remember one of the rarest cards I had when I was a kid was the Gate Guardian, and then grow older and come to find out that Gate Guardian is apparently a trash card. So that's great. That's what you want to hear about your childhood boy. But now they have a deck that makes it actually somewhat viable, so like that. Some of my favorite robots, Transformers, obviously. My favorite Transformer is my boy Shockwave. I think he's probably one of my favorite fictional characters ever. Just great antagonist. You know, always keeps his cool, not hindered by like emotion or anger or anything like that. Just cool logic, and he's kind of like a wild card. You never know what he's got planned in the background, and whenever it comes to fruition, it's always like, whoa, no way. Anyway, Zaku's, love me some Zaku's. Love my mono-eyed robots. Love all the Zaku variants, and just how they have like a nice uniformity to them, but then they just have like the little tweaks to make them look different, kind of like stormtroopers or clone troopers. I always love when you have like generic soldiers like that who just have slight little tweaks to tell them apart. It's just something really visually pleasing about that. Astromech droids, another favorite of mine. Most people would say if they could have anything out of the Star Wars universe, they'd want a lightsaber, but I want an Astromech. Specifically an R4 unit. I like their big conical heads. They're kind of cute. And basically anything that doesn't look overly human. Like, you know, there's some things that can be an exception. Like a lot of Transformers have kind of humanoid faces, but they're different enough that you can tell they're a robot. Like, they're not like fleshy or anything like that. Or me. Like, you know, look at me, I got a mouth, but I don't have a nose. And you can clearly see like these lines on my face where it's like a lot more blocky, you know? So, you know, I pass my own like sensor, which is great. Some of my favorite anime and manga. My favorite series of all time is Gintama. Because, you know, I value laughter and Gintama's hilarious, but at the same time, it can also take some dramatic and emotional turns, and I think that's just a great overall fiction trick, is when you have like a funny series that suddenly takes a dramatic turn. It's like you've grown to love these characters through the laughs, and now horrible things are happening to them, and you just feel the hurt, the pain, the suffering, Full Metal Alchemist, you know, it's a lot of people's favorite. I think there are plenty of anime that do things better in certain aspects, but I think Full Metal Alchemist is, specifically Brotherhood, is a well-balanced meal. You know, it does everything just right, and doesn't leave you wanting more for just that. It's just right, like Goldilocks and the Three Bears, you know? And I love Sangatsu no Lion. That is my comfort anime that I love to watch and consume. I've watched it, God, probably like 4 times, both sub and dub, just as an excuse to watch it more times. And it still gets me every time. Just gives me that feeling of warmth that sometimes you just need to feel. Promise Neverland was great. I really loved the first season. It's too bad they never made a second season. Yeah, I love Karakuri Circus. That was a pleasant surprise as someone who likes mechanical things, and I really liked the coming-of-age story of the main character. I watched the anime when it came out, and that led me to the manga, and the manga is so much better, because they cut a lot of stuff out in the anime that just left it feeling a little bit hollow in parts, but the manga, I think, just gives you a more complete feeling, you know? Makes a lot of scenes and stuff feel more earned, and yeah, probably like my favorite solo manga, I would say. That has an anime adaptation. Like Fate, I love Fate Zero. Thought Unlimited Blade Works was great. Enjoyed Apocrypha. Never got into Fate Grand Order the game though, because that is a hole to dive into that I was not ready to fall into. Like I said, I try to temper my my gacha interests as best as I can. And then obviously I'm a Gundam fan. I love me some I loved Iron-Blooded Orphans. That was the series that got me into Gundam in general, I think, because I had held it off for the longest time because I was like, no, I can't afford to like this, because then I'm going to start buying the model kits. But Iron-Blooded Orphans finally got me. I thought it was a great standalone story, you know, had kind of a tragic ending to it, but you know, the message still got across, kind of had a bittersweet ending, which can be nice from time to time. Witch from Mercury was great, really loved the characters. Sulemeo for the win, you know. They totally got married at the end. There's no denying it. They were cute. And I liked that the main character had really bad social anxiety issues, made her really relatable to me. And Thunderbolt is also fantastic, just from a visual standpoint, and the music, just great little series. Loved it from beginning to end. And there's God knows how many more that I'm not thinking of at the moment, but those are just some of my favorites. It's just stuff I think is pretty neat. Whoops. Some of my goals. So I'm mostly just doing this for fun, not expecting anything to come out of it. If it does, though, that'd be great. I mainly just want to play a bunch of games that I never played before, do some other things I enjoy. Maybe if I can figure out the setup to build some Gunpla on stream, or open a few Pokemon card packs that I've kept sealed in my back closet just because I haven't had the time to open them. And maybe play a couple of the popular Rage games and try and keep my cool. I like to think I'm a pretty laid-back person. The only thing that really gets my goat is when technology doesn't work like it should. Like when my loading screen was buffering and I wasn't sure why. That was a bit irritating. But, you know, my overall goals, I think the main thing I want to do is to try and make some friends in the VTuber community. You know, I fell in the VTuber rabbit hole during COVID like so many other people, and I just really fell in love with just how wholesome the community can be at times. Obviously, there's a little bit of toxicity, but I find that there's just like a nice oneness of similarly interested and minded people that come together to support each other, whether they be artists or other creative people to support their Oshis, or, you know, even just support each other. And I just want to be closer to that. And, you know, if I can make some friends who are VTubers or in the VTuber community, that's the main goal here, is to just try and make some friends, make people laugh, just get my voice out there, and try and connect with people. And I like to be memeable. I like to look at memes, so if I can do something either intentionally or accidentally, then, you know, I'd love to see my face on a meme. And at the end of the day, I just want to be happy, you know. I've lived a pretty steady life so far. I've got a day job that keeps me stable, but I'm just, especially in the last year or two, I've just felt a bit of emptiness. And watching VTubers on stream and watching people in the community become friends with one another, I just felt a bit of longing for that, and I just wanted to be a part of it. So, you know, throw my hat into the ring and see what comes of it, you know. Anyway. Whoops. For credits, my model here was designed by myself, but it was drawn up and prettified and rigged by Miss Mahoyoma, also known as Yoma. Her Twitter is linked in my description below. Be sure to give her a follow and give her some love. She's a very talented artist who does a lot of good work for indie VTubers, so, you know, be sure to check her out. And thank you for bringing me to life. I really appreciate it. And yeah, that's it for my debut speed run, even though it actually ended up being 40 minutes. Jeez. I guess that isn't much of a speed run. But, yeah, that's the hard part over, so now I'm gonna play some Halo Reach with the Mythic Overhaul mod by Mythic Chickpea. I've been really looking forward to delving into it a bit, because I love Halo Reach, but I've played it God knows how many times, so let's try and play it with this mod that mixes things up a little bit. So, yeah, I'm gonna end the stream now and quickly boot up the waiting room, so feel free to jump over and play some games together. Thanks for coming by.